My name is Mary Ann Kleschick, and I am an interior designer. I've been working in this business for 30 years now. I'm a proud graduate of Drexel University. I've been creating beautiful interiors with clients, both turnkey operations as well as 2-hour, 3-hour consultations for people in small apartments. My belief is that everybody deserves good design, and it's not that difficult to get it. I'm glad to see everybody today. My goals with my presentation are to just share 10 tips that a professional designer uses as a guideline, so that each and every project I have has actual steps that I take in creating the final end usable product. So let's begin. These are my 10 tips. Prepare, remain true to your theme, take inventory of yourself, don't be afraid to be quirky, contrast, you're dressing a room, not yourself, explore wall coverings and other wall treatments other than paint, provide 3 sources of light, and utilize a variety of shapes, textures, and think big. Number 1 is prepare. The first thing you need to do, whether you're designing a closet or a room, is to actually have a scale drawing of your floor plan. This is the most important step to begin with, because then when you go out to shop for your furniture and your floor plan has a 6-foot sofa, but you fall in love with a 7-foot sofa, you'll know that you need to compensate with the end tables or the lamps, or you might make sure your draperies are compensate for that. The truth is that the floor plan is just a guide. In almost all instances, things change. Design is a process. What you have on the floor plan, it's going to grow and change as you go shopping. The other good thing about that floor plan is if you're walking around the mall and you see something on sale, or you're driving by and you see a flea market and you see a coffee table that you like, you'll know right away whether it's a good buy. Nothing's a good buy if it doesn't fit in your floor plan. But this way you have a concrete knowledge of whether it will work or not. The other aspect of preparation is you do want to make sure that you pull pictures from magazines and house.com, which you all go on. Make sure that you have a comprehensive file of 10 or 15 pictures that you like, and label what you like about it. When I start with a new client, I ask them to pull these pictures and we look at them together. And the reason we do that is because you can see patterns developing. Whether or not somebody loves Oriental rugs, if someone likes bright open windows or heavy draperies. Well, I also see whether the patterns are geometric patterns, floral pattern, no pattern. You will begin to see what you're attracted to over and over if you pull these pictures. Most important is you want to get a feeling of your room so that when you go to shop, everything you purchase is in conjunction with that feeling. This is hard because we get sidetracked. I don't know about you, but I have lots of different styles that I like. But once I pick my style with my room, I generally want a comprehensive project, end result that feels the way I want it to feel. And that's what we do to get it that way. Number 2 is remain true to your theme. Refer to these pictures often. Keep the picture and the floor plan in your pocket, in your glove compartment, in your purse, and make sure that you ask yourself when you're going to purchase something or pick a wall paint. I said I wanted my room bright and cheery. Does this gray paint that I like really work with that? If you say you want something dark and enveloping and romantic, then do the bright yellow walls really make sense here? And each step of the way, continue to ask yourself that. So keep everything with you and label your theme so that you can easily remain true to it. Number 3 is take inventory of yourself. Do some soul searching and be completely honest. If you are somebody that would love a white room such as this, you need to ask yourself if your family and your lifestyle and what you eat and drink and where you eat and drink it can really work with something like this. It takes a certain person to be able to live in a white room. They're beautiful. You see them in the magazines at all times. But do you want to keep that clean? Can you keep it clean, or is that more cumbersome than it's worth? The other thing you want to keep in mind is there are sprays and certain kind of fabrics that will resist staining. There's Krypton fabric. Has anybody ever heard of that? Krypton fabric actually enables a spill to bead up on it, so it rolls off. Now that's fine as long as you don't have a white carpet. As far as I know, they don't make Krypton carpet yet. So if you do that, just keep in mind also, some people don't like those sprays because of the environmental aspects. So it's always a trade-off, right? So when you take inventory of yourself, know if you like to clean, know how you want to keep your house, know if you don't like clutter, if you do like clutter. Find out if you like symmetry or if balance is enough. Do you like accent colors? Do you like monochromatic? These pictures will show you that. Number 4, this is a great example of quirky. When I say don't be afraid to be quirky, I'm not necessarily saying put big polka dots on the wall. Subtle quirkiness will make the room yours and yours alone with your personality, and it also excites the space. Nobody said you have to have one chandelier over a table. This is a great example of different size chandeliers hung separately at different heights. Think of how less interesting this would be if it was just a simple 8-arm chandelier. That's what I mean by don't be afraid of being quirky. Using things differently, using things in multiples, and in your space planning. Generally, a fireplace is meant to be the focal point of the room. If you have a working fireplace and you're only using it once or twice a year, don't be afraid to put a bench in front of it. Don't be afraid to put 2 chairs in front of it and use it as an extra wall if that's what you need. You're allowed to do that. That's kind of that quirky thing that's unexpected that can excite your space. While I talk about quirkiness, try to keep in mind the rule of thumb is generally odd numbers. If you're going to put pillows on your sofa, 3, 5, 7. If you're going to use these chandeliers in this kind of manner, 3 is a good number. When you're putting pillows on the bed, same thing. Unless you're hanging pictures in a row or in a quad kind of configuration, again, odd numbers. It's more interesting. It actually creates more balance because it's a composition. Number 5, use contrast to its full advantage. Believe it or not, there's no such thing as a dark room or a light room. It's all about what contrasts with it. I have clients several times say to me, well, I can't use that dark wall covering. I can't paint that wall brown because it'll make the room small and closed in. That's not necessarily true at all. If it's done correctly with the right contrast, dark walls can actually excite the room and create space that's much more interesting than if it was all light. And here's a good example. Compare this bathroom with the dark walls and the crisp white fixtures to this. Nobody's saying one is wrong and one is right. I'm just opening up options. This is beautiful and subtle, whereas this is beautiful and more dynamic. So you have your options depending on what you would like. So dark can enhance the space, and the contrast is one of the most important things that you want to remember. If you have a light wall, you want to think about dark floors, you want to think about a dark or bright sofa color in front of it. Anything to create the juxtapositioning of the contrast, because that contrasts your light, which again becomes more visually exciting. Oops. Number 6 is an interesting one. Remember, you're not dressing yourself, you're dressing a room. The process of selecting finishes and fabrics for a room is very different than selecting your pants and your blouse. You need to think larger. If you look at this picture, look at the couch pillows. They have nothing to do with each other, but they look great. You would never wear that as a top and a bottom. Even the odd color of the two benches with that sofa is kind of a strange mix, but it works because you're not looking at it in minutia, or it's not close. The other thing I do when I'm selecting fabrics and wall coverings for clients is I lay them out on the floor in the ratio what's going to be used. So if I have a pillow fabric that might be really patterned and busy, I make it look like a postage stamp, because in the room, that's what it's going to appear like. And the other solid fabrics are going to be more prominent. So that kind of helps visualize. Don't be afraid to put unexpected fabrics together. Stripes and polka dots, the geometrics with some squigglies. It all is acceptable, and it's all good to try and experiment with that. If anybody has any questions along the way, just feel free to pipe up. Number 7 is my favorite. Explore wall coverings and other wall treatment. Many times when I suggest a wall covering, clients get in the panic mode. Wall covering is not just the little American eagles and poodles of yesteryears. Not only that, it's not a nightmare to come off either. Remember when you had to, right, hose down your walls to get the wallpaper off? Now there's all kinds of primers. You have to paint? Okay. Well, I'll give you a name of a wallpaper guy that will do, you do need the right people to do your work. Absolutely, understood, right. That's, but we're talking different. We're talking two different things. Wallpaper is very, well, because wallpaper is personal. It's like artwork. It's like the color of a wall. So if you're trying to sell your house, you're marketing it to universal. So yes, you would want to have like a creamy wall. That's what people can't visualize. I'm giving you exciting options that can make your home more exciting and more personal. So we're kind of talking about two different things here. So wallpaper, what wallpaper does for you is two things. Really activate the space. Really, really say, I am a blue person, I'm a geometric person. This is not for everyone. I'm not saying it's for everyone, but it's a great look if you like this. Very Jonathan Adler. You have to figure the walls are the most surface that you see in a room, particularly in a powder room or a bathroom where all the surfaces are hard. Wallpaper gives activation, pattern, color that you normally wouldn't have. I'm going to pass some of these around. There's some great textures. I've used this wallpaper in dining rooms, very elegant. Yeah.
Now, when you talk about wallpapering, you're not talking about
depending on what you want to do. You can do you can do half a wall with the break. You can do one wall that's an accent wall with your bed there. I've done the ceiling. I just did a beautiful dining room that we painted the walls and we papered the ceiling in like a gold, almost looks like an old world gold filigree. Yeah, so there's all kinds of things. Here's a perfect example. When I hold up, that's flat paint versus the excitement of a textured wallpaper. It activates the space. This is one of my favorite wallpapers. When I use this, it's a vinyl. It's type 2 hospital grade wallpaper. It's 54 inches. You can wipe it with bleach. Who wouldn't want that in their bathroom? Look at the difference between that and flat paint. Plain blue versus blue with some dimension. You see, they're all different grades of wallpaper. So there's an option. It's terrific. Like I said, it's terrific for bathrooms. You do need to have the right contractor to put this up. I have a couple different wallpaper men that I go to. Some of them have no problem putting a 54-inch vinyl in a small bathroom. Others are just like, there's no way I can do that. So, part of my job as a designer is to find the right people to do the right thing at the right time for the right price. That's what I'm paid for.
DIY person and want to do it yourself, are there like classes that you can take?
Not that I know of, but I'm sure that, if you Google, you could do that. Honestly, I don't do much, my job is to get the people. I don't do much myself. That doesn't sound right, but it's the truth. I manage and tell people what to do to make it look beautiful in the end. That's my job. All right. My recommendation if you're going to do wall covering is to get large samples, put it up on the wall, and live with it during rainy days, sunny days, nights and days, so that you can actually feel how it's going to look. It gives depth to your walls, it gives warmth to your walls, and it can be one of the best investments to making a room look like yours and really look finished and designed. Number 8, you always want to have 3 sources of light. The first one is overall lighting. Chandeliers, recessed lighting, so that you can walk into a room and you can kind of see where you're going. The second kind of light is ambient lighting. This is more of the mood lighting, a cove in a dining room, sconces, anything that gives soft, glowing light. Dimmers, pendants over the island on a dimmer. The third kind of lighting is task lighting, which is the light that you read by. Floor lamps, table lamps, under-counter lighting in the kitchen, things that you actually do a task. You need all 3 of these lightings in almost every room to give that balance of light. Designing a room and not having the correct lighting, it fails. The lighting is one of the most important parts. There's all kinds of bulbs out on the market. Even fluorescent bulbs have good light now. We don't all look green in fluorescent lights. So take advantage of all the bulbs, test and play until you have the right. There's halogen bulbs, there's LED bulbs, so there's a much more out there than just the standard A watt. In fact, that's not even, A bulb isn't even available anymore. Number 9. Often if a room is designed, completed, and you look back and you say something's not quite right, it's usually that different textures were not utilized. In this photograph, I actually did this room so I know exactly which each finish is. The walls are a grass cloth that are actually textured. They almost look free, so they're rough. Then we've got the cabinetry, which has a beautiful glaze on the woodwork, a little bit of a shine. Supple, rich cinnamon bar velvet on the chairs, which is contrast with the brass legs. So you have a little bit of shiny. And then to finish it off, we use silk draperies so that we had a little shimmer where the light hit the silk draperies, but it's matte where the dark folds are. All of this works to keep the textures contrasting, different. So you always want to keep that in mind. Have some shiny, have some matte, have some mediums, have some fabrics that are rich that you actually want to touch. And number 10 is think big. Select large artwork over small, if possible. If you have the opportunity to go shopping for your accessories and your artwork, large in small quantities makes a better statement. If you do collect things, watches, hats, figurines, the nicest display that you can find is the answer. Collect them in an area rather than have them all over the place. It looks cluttered. So it's not that nobody should collect, but if you do, put it in one case together. A good designed room, a very nicely designed room, is very similar to a beautiful piece of art that stood the test of time. You want to be excited by it and interested when you walk by. You want to be able to come into the room and look at the next layer of scaled pieces like the chairs and the next layer of detail, and then sit down in that chair and actually notice the little dressmaker details, the nail heads. All three levels should be working in a room for a well-designed room. And that pretty much wraps it up. I hope these tips, taken pretty much in order, should be able to help your next project become successful and completed. Anybody have any other questions?
Do you have like a lot of family portraits